Welcome to the Bladtcast. Joining me now is musician Damon Johnson, whose latest album is called Battle Lessons from Damon Johnson and the Get Ready. Damon, thank you so much for taking the time to chat again. Welcome back to the show. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Christian. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We were just talking a moment ago before we got started, and here we are. It's June of 2021, and well past the year mark of doing pretty much everything this way. It's all my work happens on what looks like a 3x5 index card, and but the best thing about it is, when you're doing stuff out of a studio, and it's like, yeah, well, who's in town right now, and do they have time to come over? So it really opens it up in a lot of good ways, I think. And for you, I mean, if you wanted to spend your day this way, you could do 5 interviews all afternoon and, cover a lot of people. So I guess, there's the pros and cons to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's been an extraordinary year, and there's, the being stationary does, there have been some advantages of it. There's no doubt about it, but I can't deny, man, being able to book some shows again and just get back on the road is, it's a thrill. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we certainly won't ever take it for granted again. I can assure you that.
I'm sure. Yeah. And yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about getting back out there. But when I start off, I want to talk about the album. Now, you and I spoke last fall. I think it was in September, and you had a few of the songs out from the album. And I do remember that I did put a bug in your ear because my favorite song was Can't Clap Any Louder. And there had been a little bit of a disagreement behind the scenes. I can't remember if it was a producer or someone. You liked that song a lot. And there was this idea of well, why don't we put that song out? Now, I don't know that song has come out yet, but am I seeing something in the future? Is there maybe somewhere down the line a video planned for that, or is it just one of the great songs on the album?
Well, I'll tell you this, brother. It's still, in my top three, and those three kind of evolve. As,
Sure, of course. Yeah.
they shape shift because they're all my babies, man. I'm so proud of the album from top to bottom. But I will tell you this, man. Tomorrow, literally tomorrow, I guess technically midnight tonight, is the premiere of the new video for Talk Yourself Into Anything, which is track number 3.
Right.
And
yeah. And I've been listening to that song a lot, because they sent me the song, and I know that the video premieres, and I'm sure that they can just look for you. But DamonJohnson.com, Twitter is Damon J Official, and Instagram Official Damon Johnson, and I think that's also your YouTube. So I guess YouTube is really if you just want to go to YouTube, and I bet if you type in Damon Johnson, they'll find it. And I really like that song, Talk Yourself Into Anything. It's a great, it's got some great riffs. It's super catchy. And, last time I talked to you, I mentioned that I grew up a huge fan of Alice Cooper, who obviously you played with for a number of years. And I mentioned his Trash Tour was the first concert I ever went to. And I was thinking, listening to this song so much, I kind of had, in all the best ways, kind of an Alice Cooper vibe to that song. Just sort of the way that there's the talking at the beginning and kind of the structure. And I hope it's a huge, tremendous success for you. But also somewhere down the line, I'm like, I'd kind of like to hear Alice sing this song. It really feels like, and I don't hear that a lot. Not a lot of people put out music where you're like, I think Alice could do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's, I doubt that that's even, remotely something that you maybe considered at all. But I wonder what you think about that reaction that I had to it as I was listening to it for the 10th time on the little exercise bike out in the garage this morning.
Oh, that's awesome, Christian. Well, you just said a lot of stuff right there. First of all, Alice would kill that. He would be so great on that. And you're the first person that has said that. So, that talking intro, I definitely, right from the beginning, I knew that I wanted to sort of portray some kind of a character. I had these two people that influenced, their relationship influenced the lyric for the song. But, I had that opening riff, and it was so simple and kind of, Highway to Hell, Power Age era, AC/DC in its simplicity. It gets such a good reaction, man. Now we're playing it live. We've done half a dozen shows now, and people are asking for it by name. People love Can't Clap Any Louder as much as me. And the only reason we didn't go with that second is because we wanted a different tempo.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
If there's any remotely kind of a negative mark for Can't Clap Any Louder, it's basically the same tempo as the title track, Battle Lessons, that we put out back in February. But you know what? The other thing, Christian, it's so cool being an independent artist. I mean, there's no rules. I get to do whatever the hell I want, So, the record's been out now for 5 months, but we're just now putting out a second video. There's some energy around that. I'd like for this record to kind of stretch out into the fall, into the early part of next year. We just announced some UK tour dates with our friends in Buckcherry, and man, more than anything, I just hope the touring and the performing really ramps up.
Yeah, and I mean that'll be great to be out with a great band like Buckcherry for sure. And so if there are dates in Europe, should I guess that it's probably not till the fall though? It seems like everything that a lot of stuff that gets planned here in the U.S. is like September, October maybe, but Europe it seems like that they're gonna have shows. It's just not yet, right?
Correct. The shows for us in Buckcherry don't start until the end of November. And without a doubt, man, we're watching the news with great interest, as to how things continue to progress over there. They're not, we're so lucky, brother, to live here in the good old US of A, because we've clearly, man, the vaccines have been a game changer in the best way, especially for the music business, for us to have people be able to congregate and feel healthy and safe. And so it's good, man. I hope that UK tour happens.
I think that the rollout of the vaccine has certainly been, the vaccines plural, of course, here in the US. I think it went so much better than anybody expected, because it was like maybe 2 months ago, everybody was canceling tours or putting them to 2022. And then literally within a few weeks, all of a sudden it was like, no, we'll do that, maybe the end of the summer. We'll do that. It like literally changed. And, it's interesting, you're sort of talking about how fortunate we are here. And just within the last hour, I was reading that, Bruce Springsteen's doing his Broadway show again. And, it's a very expensive ticket, but I was lucky enough to go once. It's phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
I think it was dumb luck. I was in New York and I was like on the cancellation line, and some lady had an extra ticket. And, she was like, I need somebody, but you have to be able to go in with me now. Cause it's one of those like printed home tickets.
Yeah.
But she had printed both tickets on the same piece of paper. So it's like, It's one person, you got to come in with me. And I'm like, well, what are you asking? She's like, $300, which is a lot for anything. But I really wanted to go, and I'm not usually in New York anymore. So I was like, well, hang on. And I went into my wallet. I'm like, I have $267 in cash. She's like, good enough. Let's go right now. So anyway, I got to go, and I'm a big Springsteen fan, and I can understand how you have to be to even spend what I spent, because there's seats in there that are like $850 long before they go on StubHub. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because that I was literally just reading that, and I think that these are some of the rules that we might start to see crop up, specifically because that's a Broadway show, that you not only have to show proof of vaccination to go to that show, you have to get one of our 3 vaccines here. The Pfizer, the Moderna, or the Johnson & Johnson.
Wow.
If you have the AstraZeneca vaccine, that's actually not good enough. And obviously somebody with the appeal of Springsteen, is going to draw people in from around the world. So now even Canadians who maybe were, going to, I don't know, quarantine, drive down, I don't even know how it would work, is like, oh, wait, I have that one. So now they can't go.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it's something I hadn't even thought about. Just 2 nights ago, the Foo Fighters played at the Canyon Club here in LA. They did a small show before they head out to play Madison Square Garden. And that was one of those shows where it's like, everybody's got to show proof of vaccination. And, you had protests because some people don't want to have to do that. And that's their right to not get to do it. But it's also, Foo Fighters' right to say like, well, that's kind of what we want in the room. And the reason why I'm sort of, this is all rambling around a little bit, but the reason I'm bringing it up, are you finding like, oh, we're going to book a show in this state, and we have this set of rules, and then the next night we're going to be somewhere else, and oh boy, it's like a completely different set of circumstances. And do you feel like it's going to be a lot of adjustments, from night to night, really?
Man, we're not really seeing much of that yet. Most of the shows that we've got booked between now and November are outdoor shows. And obviously that's a different situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But we are playing indoors next weekend back in my home state of Alabama. And that's a great venue in Huntsville that I've played many times. And it's indoors. And, we are operating under the confidence, because all of us are vaccinated. And, the venue, I don't think it's going to be limited capacity, which is awesome. We'll just wait and see, man. The news just continues to be positive. Every day, man, there's the numbers are going down, infections are going down, hospitalizations are going down. So we'll see. I mean, obviously you keep up with this as much as I do, Christian. So I know that you're aware that once the weather starts to cool off again and everybody's indoors, it could change. We don't know. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think having a lot of outdoor shows makes it easier. But, here in LA, as of a couple days ago, you can, you can go into the movie theater and sit, without really, I don't think that they're doing, restrictions the way that they were. And obviously that's less people than a concert, but it's the same idea. You're sitting next to strangers that aren't from your household. And it's interesting that it's on the honor system. It's like, oh, you say that you're vaccinated. Great. You don't have to wear a mask. And, we're going to take people at their word for it. And it's interesting that I like to think that people will be honest, and so, you had said you've already played some shows, and that must have been somewhat recent, because I remember seeing you did a stream. Did you play the whole album on the stream that you did? It was a few months ago, right?
Yeah, we did, man. We did a live stream back in April, and we played the entire record top to bottom, and we played 2 or 3 extra songs at the end. But we played our first official live show back in, let's see, was it the end of April or the end of May? I guess it would have been April, the last week of April. We played a great venue here in Nashville called the Basement East. And, it was very limited capacity. People were still masking, which we were fine with that. We were great with that. But Christian, I cannot overexpress, man, what a joy it was. There was so much joy all around the room. The band, the audience, the bartenders, the waitresses, the people working the front desk. Man, everybody was in a great mood and just really, really happy, we were technically like the first kind of hard rock band to come in and play. They'd had some acoustic stuff in the previous couple weekends and that kind of thing. But, we came in there with the Marshall amps and the big drums and
right.
and we rocked out. So it was, really great.
It's interesting because it was around the same time, actually. It was maybe early May. My wife and I went to a Dodger game one afternoon, and the capacity was like, I don't know, 20% at that point. But man, everybody who worked there selling concessions, the people taking your tickets, I'm from New York originally, but LA is so much friendlier than I'm used to. It's still not the most friendly place on earth, but everybody was like, hi, how are you? And they were so happy. And, we were sitting there. It was like, they could have told us like, yeah, sorry, team bus broke down. There's not going to be a game today. And we all would have sat there and just, eating hot dogs and just like, yeah, this is great. This is a day. So, and I saw, friends of mine are in a Kiss tribute band called Kissed Alive. And they did one of those sort of like parking lot drive-in sort of shows where people can be outside just near their car apart from each other. I went to that actually also in like March, and it was like, everybody was so excited. Like, we're outside, we're in a parking lot. The band, because I know the band, I was pretty close to it, but people were like, whatever, this is so great. And that, so far, that's my only live music experience since March of 2020. And I can't imagine, one, being on stage and looking at people, but just thinking about me when I actually go to a show, what that's going to be like. And if they want the rule to be, I've said, like, if you want me to wear a mask, that's great. And I jokingly said, it's like, look, if you want to swab my nose between each band to make sure like I didn't catch it, that's fine. Just tell me what the rules are before I go. I'll bring 3 masks, so I can switch, after whatever they need, So but that's great. And awesome. I think a lot of people I talk to feel exactly that way. You're going to certainly have people who
jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me jump in and say something, man. So we played that show on a Thursday night in Nashville, and then we drove to Illinois. We played an outdoor event on Saturday, and then Sunday we did a private acoustic thing, which was also outdoors. And I got to tell you, man, every single show over those, 3 shows in 4 days, it was the same thing. People were just overjoyed. And, look, man, there's no doubt. We hope that this continues. I feel really lucky, Christian, that we had already made a record. A lot of people had been waiting or holding off, or they couldn't get in the studio if the band lives in different states or whatever. For me to have my whole team of people right here in Nashville was a blessing, man, because we got to, over time, make the record. Nick Raskulinecz, man, he's a superhero. I'm so lucky to have him in my life as a friend, as a producer. He crushed it, man. He captured everything I wanted to, did a great job on the mix. And, so to put the record out officially back in February was awesome. So I feel like now we're kind of coming out of the chute strong. We've got a great new record. We'd already done a pretty good amount of touring in 2019 and early 20. Rock and roll is it's not the cultural influence that it used to be, and I know you know what I'm talking about. So
sure, yeah.
Anything that we can do to bring attention to our music, man, I'm excited about it, and I'm appreciative, for any opportunity to do that. So, my agent knows. It's like, man, somebody wants us to play, the answer is yes. You don't even have to call me. Just book it. Let's go.
I love that. Yeah. And, something you said earlier, you're talking about, having the album sort of grow over time. And obviously that's the way it used to work with an album. And that's why, even your hugely successful albums, had, 4 or 5 singles that came out over the course of like a year and a half, and the way it seems now, it's built on, we're going to put everything out before it comes out, and we want everybody to pre-order it. And then, record companies not being what they used to be, maybe because of what you just said about rock and roll, they're like, okay, yeah, well, we debuted on the charts. We did what we did, and we'll talk to you in another couple of years, maybe.
Yeah, listen, man, I don't understand how any artist, big or small, would think that that's in their best interest. I have 2 friends that are also independent artists, and I was really surprised, man, that in each case, they put out a new record and they dropped, 4 songs, each one with some kind of an accompanying video or a lyric video or whatever, like in a month, and then that's it, and it's like, wait a minute, man, you just worked on this thing for 6 months. And now you have total control over the calendar and how you roll out this stuff. Because again, Christian, people's attention span is minute. And if you release all of that stuff, they're just going to miss it. People aren't going to see it. And if they do see it, they're just going to be, blowing through their Instagram feed or their Facebook. And, oh, look, there's a cool, great. And they're on to the next thing. I'm excited that we worked the title track, through all my outlets and social media and, my digital provider. They did a great job, for 6 weeks, 2 months. And then we chilled out for a minute. Now we're dropping the video tonight for Talk Yourself Into Anything. I hope people get sick of it, And then, hey, maybe it's Can't Clap Any Louder in, later in the summer. Yeah, man. I'd love to do a video for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're sort of talking about artists at a certain level. You have somebody like like if John Bon Jovi wants to put out a video for every song on the album before it comes out, and then anybody who buys a ticket to see him in concert gets the album for free. that's a great business model that most people can't do. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right,
I
right.
think that you know, this, I don't know, it's just what you're doing seems smart. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why more bands don't do it. You know, it's like, you know, a big, you know, a good example is a couple years ago, Judas Priest had like their highest charting debut for an album ever. And then within a few weeks, it was like nobody was talking about it anymore. And, you know, the pandemic gets in the way, but then it's like, well, yeah, but why weren't they out there? And just like, yeah, of course they're Judas Priest and you know all those songs, but they have new songs. And why aren't you trying to, you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe it's the reason why some bands don't even make new music, you know, because it's just like, oh, it's such a slog to try and play it, you know. And just a couple of days ago I was talking to I know he lives down there too, Mark Slaughter. He was talking about going to see Paul McCartney once, and he's Paul McCartney. And even Paul McCartney, when he like got to the song that was the new song, then everybody's like, all right, well, it's not going to be Get Back. Let's let's go to the bathroom and get another beer, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, if even Paul McCartney can't convince you to stay still for new music, I totally get it. So I see both sides of it, but what you're doing seems so smart, and it's got to, like you said, you use the word blessing. It's got to be a blessing that you can actually get out there and play in front of people now. Whereas a year ago, obviously that wasn't even remotely an option, you know?
No, man, you're totally right. And, you know, it's like when I saw your name on the call sheet, I was like, oh, awesome, man. It'd be good to talk to Christian again, because we did talk way back in the fall of last year. And hey, man, I remember still being very uncertain about so many things. The calendar, the record wasn't finished. I think by then we had only been able to record 6 of the 9 songs. So it was early days, and everything feels so different now. And you know, my kids, they got to go back to school in person, which is awesome. Yeah. And, you know, we just got back from visiting some family up in Michigan, which was great. And so the normalcy, man, it feels so fucking good. Man.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
Yeah, you know, a few weeks after my wife and I went to the Dodger game, we took the kids to Disneyland, and there were a lot of restrictions. There's a lot less now, but when we went, and it was like, oh, the kids need to wear a mask, and you know, some people get upset about that. I'm like, that's fine. You know, the kids aren't vaccinated. That actually makes perfect sense.
Yes.
And we went, and I tell you, anything that was abnormal about it didn't matter to them. It was like, can we go on Dumbo again? My kids are 5 and 3, so you know it's good. It's all the little kid stuff.
Hey man,
and,
it's all Dumbo and Small World.
Oh yeah,
and the little spaceship ride that goes around.
That was the other one. And then surprisingly, my daughter, she's 3, she wanted to go on the teacups, and we're like, are you sure? Because I've known adults who are like, oh no, I can't do that. But then you know, look, at the same time, it was like, I think 20% attendance for Disneyland. I'm like, oh, sign me up for that. That was the reason we went. Yes. You know, it's like it was like a ghost town at quitting time. But yeah, to get back to like, I don't know what the next show is I'm going to go to. I have something that moved to September that I might go to, actually at Dodger Stadium with the Weezer and Green Day and Fall Out Boy. And I'm like, oh, I would have thought that I would get something before that, but you know, I might not. Just the idea of getting out there, though, is great. And so you're getting to talk to people, you know, I'm sure around seeing the band live. But the album, you said, has been out for about 5 months now. What are some of the reactions you're getting to it? You know, I mean, it's great to get like, you know, an actual, you're talking about, you know, a rock band really coming in to play that show. And this is like a real like rock record, which unfortunately, you don't get as many of those as we used to, you know?
Yeah, man. It is certainly it's the hardest, heaviest riff record I've ever made. It's even heavier than, you know, any of the Brother Kane stuff, maybe even my Slave to the System record that I did back in 2002 with Kelly and the guys. But yeah, man, I just love that everybody kind of, they're kind of matching the sound of the record, Christian, with this moment of coming out of COVID. And you know what I'm saying? I'm glad that it's a big, heavy, in-your-face rock and roll record and not something more acoustic, which I've done before, and I'll certainly do some more of that in the future. But it's the perfect kind of celebratory, let's get together and listen to some good music energy. So, you know, I know that again, I feel really fortunate that I've got a catalog of material to draw from. The guys in the Get Ready and I, we still we visit that Brother Kane catalog a good bit. People want to hear those songs, and I love playing those songs. We'll do a tip of the hat sometimes to Thin Lizzy, which I'm still a part of, and it's just a great night of music, man. And no one's having more fun than me. No
Oh
one,
yeah.
no one, because I have just the most badass rhythm section. Jared and Robbie are so fantastic, and I'm proud of them and the job that they did on the record, and I'm grateful to have them in my life. And so, the set list may be 16 songs, but we know 30 songs. So I'll call an audible at any minute, James Brown style. Hey, hey, man, let's stretch that middle section in Got No Shame, whatever. So we have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, you referenced them sort of in passing. Take a moment to talk about the rest of the band and how the Get Ready came together. I know we talked about that back in the fall, but I think it's worth reiterating who the rest of the rockers up there on stage are with you.
Yeah, man. Jared Pope on drums and Robbie Harrington on bass. The thing that's almost funny now is the realization that the three of us met when we were all three playing modern country back in 2008.
Wow.
2007 and 8. I stepped out of Alice Cooper for a couple of years to be a part of a band called Whiskey Falls. And me and my buddy Buck were from Alabama, and the other two guys were from California. We were more of an acoustic vocal group, Eagles meets Leonard Skinner kind of thing. So we brought in a drummer. We needed a drummer to do some shows with. Well, the California guys knew Jared Pope. Jared was from Bakersfield. And the minute I heard him play, I was like, this is not a country drummer. This dude rocks. Like this guy is awesome. So we toured together for over a year, Christian. And during that year, we did some festivals with Dierks Bentley, who you may have heard of, big country star.
Yeah.
Robbie Harrington was playing bass for Dierks. Same reaction. I stood on the side of the stage and I was with Jared and I said, dude, check out that bass player. That guy's a rocker. He's not a country guy. This dude's awesome. So, I kept in touch with both of them over the years, and I moved to Nashville in 2013. Robbie was already here. Jared moved to town about a year later, and it was only a matter of time, man, that we all got in a room together. And I told him I had a vision for what I wanted to do going forward, and hey, man, would you guys be interested? And Jared goes, as long as we can play some Brother Kane. And Robbie goes, as long as we can play some Thin Lizzy. And I said, yes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, look, and it's interesting too, because you'll sometimes musicians look, sometimes you just take a gig, but other times you're working with people maybe early in your career, like the guys mentioning Foo Fighters again. I know that Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters used to play with Alanis Morissette. And I think Nuno from Extreme was playing for a pop singer at one point. Rihanna. Yeah. And it's just and obviously, look, those are good gigs because those are artists who play at some pretty big venues. But it's funny that I have a friend who works in country radio actually there in Nashville, and she loves country music, but she's also seen Def Leppard like 60 times, and she'll tell you about like how many guys like in country are like, oh yeah, but I love Metallica. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, of course they love what they do, but it's just sometimes that's and I don't know. I think I feel like you use the term modern country. I think country now it's a lot different. I think that you wouldn't have people playing with Conway Twitty who you maybe would have wanted to plug into Aerosmith at one point. I'm just picking two bands. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but
no, man, listen, it was now that I look back, I don't know if I would have made a decision to be a part of Whiskey Falls now if I knew then what I know now. But man, some great stuff came out of it. Obviously, meeting the guys was essential. So I'm proud.
Yeah, and so as we're talking, the video for you talk yourself into anything, that'll be tonight at midnight on all the socials. Obviously, the easiest place to find it is on YouTube,
Yes.
DamonJohnson.com. That's the one-stop shopping. I wanted to ask you about something that I actually read somewhere else. I think it was a website named Brave Worlds Talk to You about golf, and this, of course, ties into Alice Cooper. That I'm wondering, how much golf did you play just casually before you went on tour with Alice? Because reading this article where you talked about how it was pretty much every day, and also like on off days, you guys were out there like really playing, right? So obviously it was sort of like an unexpected perk of joining Alice Cooper's band, right? Was getting to see some of these great courses around the country, and I assume around the world.
Yeah, man, it was insane. It was insane. I had already fallen in love with golf. I was not very good. I didn't even actually have a real swing at that point. But my best friend played, my brother-in-law played, and then over time, I found a couple other friends in Alabama that I played with a lot. So I'll never forget, man, the night Alice called to tell me I had auditioned, and he called me and he said, "Hey, man, I'm picking you. I'd love to have you in the band." And so we talked about the set list, and I was going to fly out for rehearsals. And right before we hung up, I said, "Oh, Coop, I want to ask you, would it be okay if I bring my golf clubs?" He goes, "You play golf, really?" And I said, like his whole demeanor changed. And I said, "Well, look, I play, I love it. I'm not very good, but we're going to be on the road for 7 weeks. I thought maybe we could play." Once a week, a few times a month. He starts belly laughing. He's like, "Once a week?" He goes, "Damon, I play every day. You just won the lottery." And there was no way I could have known how true those words were, Christian, because that guy, I can count on 3 fingers out of 5 years the number of days that he didn't take me with him. There were a couple times he had like some corporate thing or, some big shot. There wasn't enough room for a guitar player to play golf that day. But man, he took me every day. We played in every country, South America, Australia, Russia, all over Europe, all the big courses in the States, Whistling Straits. And, we played Riviera. He took me to the Bel Air Country Club. I played with Dennis Quaid and Luke Wilson. It's just
Nice.
it's like out of a dream somewhere, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I love it as much now as I did then. My sons play. Jared Pope is almost a scratch golfer. He's the only golfer friend of mine that could beat Alice any day, anywhere. You know,
Oh.
and I say that with love because Coop is really
Sure.
good. Jared's insane. Jared's like he if this drumming thing doesn't work out, he could join the senior tour and make a few bucks. I'm telling you.
Well, I'll tell you the same story that I told Alice the one time I was lucky enough to meet him. For many years, right up until the end of last year, and just right now, he's just not working anything. I worked with the comedian Dennis Miller, and he is not a strong golfer, but he got roped into a celebrity tournament, and he was paired up with Charles Barkley. And if you've ever seen any footage of Charles Barkley, he is also not a good golfer. And they were so bad in this tournament that everyone, and there were some pros in the tournament. I don't actually remember who any of them were. I just remember that Dennis and Charles Barkley were everyone started following them because those were the holes that were fun to be around. Because,
Right.
Obviously Dennis is a comedian and Barkley might as well be a comedian. And Alice laughed so hard at the idea of, people just wanting to watch somebody be so bad at it. And, it was I can only imagine.
Well,
And
listen, man, golf is the great equalizer. You're talking about two really famous personalities in Dennis and Charles, and listen, man, those golf swings of theirs just brings them right back down to human level, and you know,
yeah,
golf
yeah.
golf will humble you in ways you could have never expected. And you know what? Good on both of those guys for being good sports and just being like, "Hey, man, I'm going to do my best, and we're going to have some fun. And that's what's great about it, man. Golf can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to get serious and put in the time and get some lessons and work with a coach, hey, man, you can achieve things that mere mortals aren't, capable of doing naturally. Or if you just want to go out and have some fun, man, it's a great game.
Yeah, I know enough that whenever when I've been like part of like a bachelor party weekend or something where there's golf, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay in the golf cart and drink beer. But literally everybody have fun, and I'll be there. But so sometimes you just know when it's like, no, nobody's gonna have fun. I'm not Charles Barkley. Nobody wants to have to wait behind me.
Christian, I have to tell you, we just got back from Michigan, as I mentioned, seeing some family, and I went to play golf with my wife's uncle and his daughter, who is a collegiate golfer. She plays on the college team. She's really, really good. And I always love to play with them because, it's just a good hang and I learn a lot. But, man, we played one day and we only played 9 holes. And I made 3 putts. All 3 of them were like 30 feet or longer. Like I've never made putts that long, that many times. And I wish I had a picture of Erin's face. She was just like, who are you? Like, what happened to you? Like, this is insane.
Oh, that's great.
I'll remember that one round of golf for the rest of my life because of those putts. So it's always something. There's a silver lining to any golf game, man, if you look for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I know, Alice wrote a whole book about it called Golf Monster. I remember it because, he's very open about the struggles he had with drinking and later with drugs in his life. And you got to replace it with something. And it's just so funny that, the guy who gets, electrocuted or hanged or his head chopped off is like, yeah, but I got to be up at 8 because I got a tea time, or whatever. So,
yeah, well, listen, man, the thing that Alice wins the most about, it's not that he's a rock star. It's not that he plays golf every day. The big win that Alice Cooper is his incredible wife, Cheryl. She's totally fine with him playing golf every day. My wife is not. But none of my other friends' wives are okay with them playing golf that much. So good on you, Coop. Yes, you're a legend. You're a pioneer in rock and roll, but wow, man, you totally scored when you met Cheryl. She's she's amazing.
Yeah, it reminds me of there's a scene in Larry David's show Curb Your Enthusiasm where he's trying to go out and play golf and his wife is he's trying to get it done. How about 9 holes? 6 holes. She's like, no, so yeah, to have somebody, oddly enough, her name was Cheryl in the show too. But anyway, and obviously the fact that Cheryl, of course, will play like even as recent. I think the last tour I saw him on, I believe she was out there again as the nurse, who like strangles him at one point.
Yeah.
And
She's
I
great.
love that. That's I think for a lot of relationships that might be something that you might want to talk about that in therapy. But it's almost like that's probably is their therapy. It's like I get to strangle him every night and that everything's fine. And I know his daughter used to be out there on stage too, Calico, and there was just it was like I shouldn't think that that's sweet, but there's something so sweet about it.
Listen, man, that was when I was in the band. When I first joined the band, Calico was a part of the show, and she had been for only about a year at that point. So those were good times, man. And those Alice, Cheryl, Callie, their whole family, man, they're family to us. And I just saw Coop last month. I flew to Phoenix. He had a charity event, and he invited me out for that, and it was awesome, man. And he loves talk yourself into anything. By the way, he's playing it on his radio show, so I'm extra appreciative for that.
Well, you can let him know that I said that he should steal it at some point. But when you're done with it, let you have it for right now. So that's the video that it's a great way to kind of circle back. That's the video that people will be able to see tonight. And most of the time by people see this, you just go to YouTube. It'll already be there by the time you hear it or see this. And you mentioned you've got some touring come up. Is the website is just Damon Johnson? I don't have it in front of me at the second.
Yes. DamonJohnson.com.
And at Damon Johnson, just go to DamonJohnson.com. They'll find all that. And there's stuff planned a lot. You said a lot of festivals, which that's fun. I mean, you're kind of talking about just having some great music, and the idea behind that song, "Can't Clap Any Louder." You feel like these crowds probably can't clap louder than they will right now. Just
Yeah,
it's
man.
look, it's practically it's summer for all intents and purposes. There's going to be shows again, and after like last summer where legitimately I don't mean anything derogatory, most of us were scared to go to the beach last summer, and now it's like, yeah, you go to a concert,
Let's go.
it's so great. And I love that you guys are really focused on the album, and you didn't just put it out in February and move on to anything else. And just the final thing, you referenced that you're still working with Thin Lizzy, but I know that probably involves a lot of coordination and international travel, so I feel like that's probably backburnered while you focus on the Get Ready, right?
Yeah, it is. But I have talked to all the guys, and there's some very focused energy going into a run in 2022 that would definitely involve some dates in North America, like a lot of dates. We would be part of a package. So really hope that happens, man. Just because I love those guys, and we talked about it last time, Christian. Thin Lizzy changed my life when I was a kid, and it's incredible that I would grow up and become a professional and actually be a part of the band at some point. So it's things are looking good, man. And I can't thank you enough for having me on again today and talking about all this stuff. And it's awesome, man. You've mentioned the website 4 times. I love you for that.
If I was smart, I would have put it. We have this for those that are watching on YouTube. We have this black bar underneath us. Why didn't I just put it there the whole time? I'm sorry about that. Now
That's all right.
But for the people that are listening, they got it in there. Yeah, always happy to talk. I'm always happy when when publicists send me new songs to listen to. I'm always like, great. Oh, hey, this is Damon again. Great, this is perfect. So very excited to
Awesome.
hear more, and hopefully there are some shows coming up somewhere out this way. But California, they say it's fully open, but nobody really has any concerts here until like September, October.
I can't wait, brother. I cannot wait to get to California. I cannot wait.
Yeah, that's all right,
Fingers
because summer lasts until early December here, so we'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. Well, Damon Johnson, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Damon Johnson, Get Ready. Battle Lessons is the album, and just go to the YouTube channel to find the new video. Thanks again, Damon.
Christian, all the best, man.